from Southern Maryland's weather leader. This is a JB Weather Alert.
Hello and good evening. Yeah, I guess right evening at this point at 5:44. I'm Forecaster John Bordash with you live here in the JB Weather Center this evening, and we are continuing to track this line of destructive thunderstorms that continues to push eastward as our cold front slowly moves through the region, ending what has been our multi-day heat wave. We do now have a brand new severe thunderstorm warning for much of southern Maryland. This includes much of Calvert County, much of Charles County, southern parts of PG County, southern parts of Anne Arundel, and northern parts of St. Mary's County, and this will be going until 6:45. It's this orange polygon you see here, and what you might notice that is a little bit different than what you would normally see, at least given my graphics, is that this severe thunderstorm warning has that white outline. That gives us a very uncommon designation with the severe thunderstorm warning, and it's been given that considerable threat damage. Any typical severe thunderstorm warning is for potential winds upwards of 60 miles per hour, but with these considerable severe thunderstorm warnings, the ones in white, we're looking at wind gusts potentially upwards of 70 to 75 miles per hour. Let me get you the latest text here on the severe thunderstorm warning, what you can expect as the storm continues to work its way down here to the south and east. At 5:39 p.m., a severe thunderstorm was located along a line extending from near Upper Marlboro to near Clinton to 7 miles west of St. Charles, moving east at about 40 miles per hour. Primary threats here are going to be those 70 to 75 mile per hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail. Damaging winds will cause some trees and large branches to fall. This could enter those outdoors, as well as damage homes and vehicles. Roadways may become blocked by downed trees, localized power outages are possible, and unsecured light objects may become projectiles. Locations impacted include, but are not limited to, Waldorf, Dale City, Clinton, Fort Washington, Chesapeake Ranch Estates, La Plata, Shadyside, Chesapeake Beach, Deal, Prince Frederick, Upper Marlboro, Quantico, Greenville State Park, Howling Point, St. Leonard Creek, Breezy Point, Cuckold Creek, Sheridan Point, Calvert Cliffs, and Flag Harbor. For your protection, you need to be moving into an interior room on the lowest floor of a substantial building, as this severe thunderstorm is producing, again, those winds upwards of 70 to 75 miles per hour. Let's go ahead and get you a storm track on this line. Let's go ahead and take this from Chesapeake Beach through Waldorf all the way back towards Triangle and Virginia, and take this to the south and east at about 40 miles per hour, and this gives you a general look at that timing. We're talking Huntingtown here in just about the next 5 minutes. It's right on your doorstep. La Plata as well the next 5 minutes or so. This will likely begin to push into the Mechanicsville and Prince Frederick areas in about the next 10 to 15 minutes, and getting down towards Lesbian about the next 45 minutes or so, if not maybe a little bit quicker. What we have noticed is that as this line has worked its way to the south and east, we've seen a little bit more in the way of some development on the southern flank of this, which then could potentially include parts of southern St. Mary's, parts of southern Charles counties into this potential warning. What I want you to notice is as this line has moved through, do you see these orange polygons with the black outlines? Those are very rare, destructive level severe thunderstorm warnings with winds over 80 miles per hour. We have seen multiple reports of winds upwards of 84 miles per hour as these storms move through the DC metro area. We are very warm out there. We currently sit with a temperature, as we load those puppies on, we're registering at 99 degrees right now down towards Pax River, with that heat index sitting at 110 degrees. So it is very hot. It is very humid out there, as has been the case for much of this heat wave. And what that has allowed is a lot of atmospheric storm energy to bubble up across our region for these thunderstorms to tap into as they move to the south and east, which means that these storms will be able to sustain themselves even as they approach the bay, which isn't always the case. The biggest question is, will we see a little bit more development on the southern flank of this line for areas like Cobb Island, Leonardtown, St. Inigo's, Ridge to get in on these thunderstorms as well? And honestly, I can't give you that answer. I'm not too sure. We'll have to wait and see. What we do know is that we have seen at least a little bit of southern development here as this line continues to push to the east. And just zooming us out, you can see all of the lightning. You can see all of those considerable thunderstorm warnings outlined in the white as this entire line is pushed to the east. And just over the last hour, you can see that progression. And this line really isn't showing much signs of weakening. So you're going to want to take this seriously. Again, much of southern Maryland's in this severe thunderstorm warning. You can see that there until 6:45. Considerable threat damage with this line as it moves to the south and east. Thankfully, it is moving at a pretty good pace around 40 miles per hour, which should begin to minimize that threat of flash flooding across the region since these are moving so quick. And we're really not looking at multiple rounds of thunderstorms. It really does look like we're just looking at this one primary line as it moves to the south and east. But if you're in the warning zone, you're going to want to move inside. I know with the hot and humid conditions, people are out of pools, people are out on the beaches, on our area waterways, but you're going to want to find safe harbor, move inside. This line is moving quick and is producing a lot of lightning and a lot of cloud to ground lightning. The heat and humidity, if it does anything, not only does it develop storm energy, but it also allows for a very electrified type of atmospheric setting. A lot of protons and neutrons kind of aligning up in the between the ground and the upper parts of the atmosphere to allow for those cloud to ground strikes. So this is going to be causing some significant issues across our region. It'll be with us for about the next hour, give or take, right? So right now in Waldorf, down towards Indian Head and Dunkirk and Chesapeake Beach, you're dealing with the worst right now. This will then move into Huntingtown and Hughesville and La Plata, and then continue its south and eastward progression. Thankfully, again, behind this line, there isn't much else going on. This really is just about the only game in town. But this is something that we're going to want to monitor nevertheless. Let's go ahead and see if we can't just get our downdraft gust potential loaded up here. And we're registering winds potentially upwards of 70 mile per hour plus really coming through the area. And the core of this really does seem to be like we're in the Bennsville, Waldorf area. So heads up in Pomfret, White Plains, La Plata, you're about to get blasted with some of this some of these highest winds, and that'll eventually work its way down towards Dentsville, potentially Hughesville, likely Charlotte Hall, maybe even Golden Beach if it can hold together. This really does appear to be some of the worst right now. I do see a couple of questions about what's going to happen in my area. One question such as Pax River. You're not in the warning right now, but we are going to stay on standby as we see this line continue to work its way down here to the south. I would just prompt everybody in Southern Maryland, whether you're under the warning or not, be on the lookout for this line as it continues to move through. Let's put a new storm track on it. Let's go ahead and get you that latest timing as we continue to learn more, as the situation continues to change. We push this to the south and east at about 40 miles per hour. This would get you a general look at that storm timing there for you. Getting into Huntingtown, honestly, just about now, in about the next 5 minutes or so. Prince Frederick in about the next 8 minutes or so. Getting down towards Charlotte Hall and Golden Beach right around 6 o'clock. Getting down towards Mechanicsville just after 6 o'clock. Getting down towards Chaptico, Brooms Island around 6:15. As we begin to approach the Lesbia area right around 6:15 as well. And we're going to continue to track this line as it moves here to the south and east. If we were to give this a 2-hour storm track that allows us to play this out a little bit further, get more communities involved here with specific timing, let's go ahead. And we're taking this to the south and east at about 40 miles per hour. That gets you a look at that timing. We're talking potentially getting into Lexington Park. We'll see you're right up there on that line if the storm will actually extend all the way to the south. But if it does, potentially towards the bottom of the 6 o'clock hour for you as it continues to push to the south and east. We do have a couple of Virginia followers watching. You do have your own storm that is fired up over parts of Spotsylvania, now parts of Caroline County that's tracking to the south and east. This will prompt at least some discussion here for some issues over parts of the Northern Neck area, Montrose, Kinsale, down towards Heathsville here over the next 1 to 2 hours. This storm is not necessarily as severe as the one that's moving through Southern Maryland right now, but it is one you will want to take note of. So if you're Westmoreland County, Lancaster, Northumberland, Essex, I believe I got all my Northern Neck counties there in some way, shape, or form. Keep this in mind for you. King George, this for the most part is state to the south of you. You do have some rain though, especially down towards the Index area. Spotsylvania and Fredericksburg, you're in the clear from this. DC, northern parts of PG County, the Annapolis area. You're in the clear from this as this now begins to push to the south and east. But this again is prompting, a lot of warnings to go up. You can see this line is moving at a pretty decent pace. We're not talking about any part of this line lingering over any one area for too long. But we're going to continue to track this. If we get any new updates here into the JB Weather Center, I'll be back here with you live. And actually, as I say that, we do have a brand new update, and this is actually a pretty dangerous situation. We now have a new severe thunderstorm warning that has been tagged with that destructive threat here for parts of Charles County, just outside of Waldorf. Let's go ahead and get a storm track here on the most dangerous part of this line. If you're in this black polygon, we're looking at destructive impacts from this line as it continues here to push to the east. Go ahead and get you that storm track. I want to go ahead and get this up over to socials. Give me just one moment here. But again, this black lined area, this is a destructive severe thunderstorm warning. This is the most severe type of thunderstorm warning. It is almost indicative of almost like a tornado warning, except we're not looking at an actual tornado. We're looking at wind speeds that could be reminiscent, though, of an EF1 tornado and rather dangerous. So we're going to go ahead and take note of that. Let me, again, go ahead and get this loaded up here. To socials. And this is going to be for parts of Charles County here. And this will be going until 6:15. It's one of those short-term forecasts. And you likely in this area have had your phone go off because we do have our systems trained to have phones go off with these types of strong, severe thunderstorm warnings. Go ahead and get that posted up there. Let's go ahead and get this over here. I do see one quick question about Leonardtown. I don't have that crystal ball answer. It really does depend on if this line extends further to the south or not. I would definitely heed all warnings, though, in that area. So let's go ahead and kind of reset things here. If you're just now joining, good afternoon, good evening. I'm Forecaster John Bordash, continuing to track this devastating line of thunderstorms as it pushes down to the south and east. And right now, all eyes are on parts of central Charles County, just outside of the Waldorf area. This was a region we were just highlighting to see some devastating conditions, and that's indeed what we do now have. We have this severe thunderstorm warning outlined in black. That is indicative of our highest level of warning with potential winds upwards of 80 miles per hour. Let's go ahead and get you the latest details. What I do want to do is zoom right into this area so you can see this includes parts of White Plains, Bryantown, and Hughesville, getting near the Charlotte Hall area. At 5:53, a severe thunderstorm was located over Waldorf, moving southeast at 25 miles per hour. And this is a destructive storm for Charles County with potential winds of 80 to 85 miles per hour in this region. Expect considerable damage to trees and power lines. Your life is at significant risk if you're outdoors in this area. In addition to some trees falling on homes, wind damage is possible to roofs, sheds, open garages, and mobile homes. Locations impacted include but are not limited to Waldorf, St. Charles, Hughesville, Bryantown, and White Plains. For your protection, move to an interior room on the lowest floor of your building. This is a potentially deadly storm. Let me go ahead and reiterate that. This is a potentially deadly storm. Seek shelter in an interior room on the lowest floor of a well-built structure. Abandon vehicles in search of more substantial permanent structures, and stay away from windows. Again, we're talking the potential for wind gusts upwards of 80 miles per hour with this storm as it pushes through the Waldorf area. See if we don't have an updated wind gust potential with our products here. See if we can just get these to load up. And of course, when we need them to work the most, they don't want to. But don't worry, I have my own little workaround. I want to go ahead and switch screens here. One panel. Bada bing, bada boom. There we go. Let me go ahead and get that ticker out of here because that is not up to date. So what we are taking a look at right now with this product is looking at winds, right? So radar can show us where it's raining, how heavy the rain is, but it can also show us winds, right? Where we have winds, how strong they are, and in what direction they're moving. And typically we would use this sort of a product in a tornado situation because it allows us to see if we have any rotation. If we were to see these reds and yellows touching any bright green areas, that would be indicative of rotation. We're not seeing any of that right now. Where we have these reds, that's where we have wind, and then when we get these yellows and oranges, those are stronger winds. The brightest colors are the strongest winds. And where we get these shadings here of yellow, this is indicative of winds upwards of 80 to 85 miles per hour. And this is really centered here, just southeast of St. Charles, getting right into the Hughesville area. This is a devastating situation right now. Let's go ahead and switch this back on over so we can get a better look here. The Hughesville area, you are under the gun from this storm as it continues here to push to the south and east. This is a dangerous situation for you. You need to be treating this like a tornado warning. It is not a tornado warning, but it is definitely going to act like one with those types of strong storms and these strong winds. For those asking, for your specific location, I see yet again another Leonardtown comment. I cannot give you the crystal ball answer if it will hit Leonardtown or not. Use jbweather.net/radar to get really into your neck of the woods, play it out with the Futurecast. You're definitely at threat to see this, but I can't give you a definitive answer because I could say yes or no, and the opposite I'm sure would happen. You would hold that against me. But again, the strongest part of this line has just moved through Waldorf. We have seen many reports out of the Waldorf area of devastation from these storms. Trees down, a couple of power outages as well with this line. And I do want to go ahead and on my other screen get Smecco loaded up here. See if we can't just stay on top of the power outage situation. As we get updates as this line continues to push on in. As we zoom out, we do not have the worst of this pushing into the Huntingtown area. And what I also would like to do is see if we can't just get some of our traffic cameras loaded up as well and see if we can get updates there. But everyone's shaded in orange. That is an active severe thunderstorm warning for you. This is not necessarily a tornado warning, right? We're just talking devastating winds. The threat of a tornado is low today. We are going to go ahead and treat this, though, as a tornado warning, especially in the black polygon, because that's where we're looking at the strongest winds, upwards of 80 to 85 miles per hour. That is equivalent to an EF0, EF1 tornado. I'm sure as this line pushes through, there will be lots of people saying it looks like a tornado moved through, but tornado was not moved through. These are just devastating and strong, severe storm winds. So we're going to continue to go ahead and keep this in mind, and as we see things, we do now have things kind of ramping up here a little bit with the potential hail core here, just outside of the White Plains area. And I do want to show you quickly, as if I can move things on over here. I'm not sure that's actually going to work. But we are getting some images and some video reports out of this area of really strong wind gusts. And that's really what we've been tracking over the last several hours as this line has pushed to the south and east. This line has been going strong for over the last 2 or 3 hours as it's pushed through the northern DC suburbs, pushed right over I-95, and now I'm here moving into parts of southern Maryland. And this is not the first destructive severe thunderstorm warning that we have been dealing with today. This is, I think, the 4th or 5th. We've had several for PG and Anne Arundel counties, and now we're looking at that in Charles County. But even outside of that, Prince Frederick, this is right on your doorstep. Let's go ahead and get an updated timeline drawn here for you. And that's not going to work. That's fine. But we are noting that this will be moving into the Prince Frederick area, into Mechanicsville in about the next 5 or 10 minutes, and then eventually down towards the St. Leonard and Leslie area in about the next 20 to 30 minutes. So keep this in mind. These are fast-moving storms producing a lot of lightning. Just take a look at this. With this one storm, upwards of 1,000 strikes of lightning, up over 900 strikes of lightning. With this storm as it's pushed down to the south and east. And this is going to continue to sweep through the area. Now, if you're out towards southern parts of Anne Arundel County, southern parts of PG County, it is likely still raining for you, but the worst of it is passed down to your south and east. You're going to find the worst conditions really on the leading edge here of our storms. Let's go ahead and see if we can't get an updated look at potential winds with this storm. See if that puppy wants to work. We are still looking at winds, and this is up in the upper level parts of the atmosphere at this radar beam. So we know that as you get closer to the surface, the higher these winds are going to be. But we're looking upwards of 70 to 80 mile an hour winds continuing to move through the Hughesville area. This is also, we're seeing some of these gustiest winds now beginning to push on over towards the Patuxent River in Prince Frederick as well. Let me go ahead, bring this on over quickly, see if I can't just get you a look here. Here we go. Got that to work. So this is a look at the Benedict Bridge here, and I know we're shaking a little bit, so you might feel a little weird watching it. But this is just a look at how strong those winds are, that it's moving the camera around that much. And this is just out ahead of our storms, right? So this is looking out towards Prince Frederick, on out towards the upper parts of the Patuxent River. We're looking at a little bit of whitecap action. We're looking at just a lot of wind, and that's going to be the biggest story with this thunderstorm complex as it continues to move to the south and east. Thankfully, once this pushes through, we're pretty much in the clear, and we should start to see things clear up across our region in our northern areas as we approach 6:30. For our southern areas, likely not until about 7:30 or so. And again, it really is still kind of a toss-up how far south and east these thunderstorms are going to be able to get. Let me go ahead and get back here into radar. Let's zoom us on out. Yeah, the real question is back here, right, over the parts of the Potomac River, do we see additional development? If we do, that is what would slide to the south and east to clip much of St. Mary's County. Right now, much of the worst of this looks like it's north and east of St. Mary's County, and the worst of it will be passing through Hughesville, maybe northern parts of St. Mary's County into Charlotte Hall, potentially, Golden Beach, and then over towards central parts of Calvert County, Prince Frederick, Port Republic, St. Leonard. That looks to be where the worst of this is going to be, and I do see a couple of comments saying strong thunder in Waldorf. Waldorf's insane. The power is out. That is very much expected with this kind of a thunderstorm complex that's producing winds upwards of 80 miles per hour. Again, we are noting this is a destructive thunderstorm. And this severe thunderstorm warning with the new update remains in effect till 6:15 for parts of Charles County. At 6 o'clock, the severe thunderstorm located over Waldorf is moving southeast at 20 miles per hour. We're continuing to note the potential for winds gusting upwards of 80 miles per hour. With this storm, we're expecting considerable damage to trees and power lines. Your life is at significant risk if you're outdoors. If you're outside and this line's approaching, you are putting your life at risk. In addition to some trees falling on homes, wind damage is possible to roofs, sheds, open garages, and mobile homes. And again, this is a potentially deadly storm. Seek shelter in an interior room on the lowest floor of a well-built structure. Abandon vehicles in search of more substantial permanent structure, and you're going to want to stay away from windows. This is not a tornado warning, but we will treat it as such. We're going to be getting inside to the lowest level of our homes. We're talking about winds that are potentially gusting to a level that is very reminiscent of an EF0 or an EF1 tornado. I want to switch screens here just for a second. I'm going to get you back on over here to our sensitive mode radar. There we go. Again, where we have these brightest colors, this is our velocity mode. This is going to be telling us where we have the strongest winds right now. And we see the strongest winds really pushing through Hughesville, really getting into the Golden Beach area, Benedict, and Prince Frederick, and that will likely continue to be the issue here for the next little bit. With our newest radar scan, we're still seeing winds, upwards of 70 to 80 miles per hour with this line as it pushes here to the south and east. And you could just see how the progression of this line has been. Moving here to the east, we have noted some hail with this storm and lots of lightning. This version of radar doesn't really show us the lightning that we want to see. But let's go ahead and get you on over to a version that does. There we go. And it's important to note that our severe thunderstorm watch remains in effect for much of the region till about 9 o'clock this evening. To the north and east of this line, north and west of this line, where the line has already passed through up here, you're pretty much in the good for the rest of the evening, right? But it's really when out ahead of this line where you're looking at potential issues as this continues to push here. Let's go ahead and get us some tracking details. Let's go ahead and take the leading edge of this storm and take this south and east at about 40 miles per hour just over the next hour or so we can actually see. And this would be a look at that general timing for you. So again, Prince Frederick, this is right on your doorstep. The worst of it is really moving through La Plata and Hughesville right now, getting just through the Pittsburgh area, approaching on Belle Alton. And then getting on over towards the Mechanicsville area here in about the next 5 minutes or so. Getting down towards the Lesby area as we approach the bottom part of the 6 o'clock hours. So you likely have darkening skies overhead, especially out ahead of the storm. And you're going to want to take note of that. And I do see a couple of comments about how we see thunderstorms every year. And indeed we do. I'm not suggesting otherwise. What I am saying, though, is that these are storms you don't typically see. The level of severity with these storms potentially producing winds of 70 to 80 miles per hour. That's rather uncommon in this part of the country on a frequent basis. We only see this probably about one, maybe 2 times a year with storms. So take this line seriously or don't. I mean, I guess it's up to you. But again, if I'm in the line of if I'm in the path of this line of storms, what I'm doing is I'm moving inside, getting away from any windows, moving to the lowest level of my home and into an interior room. Are we talking about a tornado warning? No, and I don't think a tornado is likely with this line. What is likely, though, is going to be what is going to be likely with this are going to be damaging winds potentially of 75 to 80 miles per hour. And we're looking at widespread power outages as this line moves through as well. Latest counts, let me bring us on over here. Get this back up, bring us on over. There we go. We're right now looking at about 9,000 customers without power where this line is already pushed through. Akiki on over towards Waldorf. That's where we're looking at some of the worst power outages right now. And we will see, and I'm sure we will see these power outage numbers continue to go up as this line pushes to the east. We are already out here towards the 20601 area, have over 1,000 customers without power. And that isn't like 1,000 people, because a customer is a household, right? And a household could have like 4 or 5 people in it. So multiply this number a little bit, and you start to see that we're talking tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands eventually, of people without power as this line continues to push on through. Let's bring us back on over here to live William Richmond Inc. radar. For those of you just now joining us, and we are getting a couple of new warnings. Where are these for? It looks like to our south and east. Yes, to our south and east. let's just reset here a little bit. We've been on now for getting close to half an hour, so let's just reset things, especially for those of you just now tuning in. I'm Forecaster John Bordash here with you in the JB Weather Center, continuing to track the potential of severe weather in our region. We have a very strong line of thunderstorms that's pushing to the south and east. This is a line that has a history of producing upwards of 80 to 90 mile-an-hour winds. We have reports of 84 mile-an-hour wind gust numbers out of the DC metro area, and we are staying rather hot and humid across our region. We have temperatures in the upper 90s, high humidity levels pushing heat indices up near 110 degrees. So what that has allowed is a lot of storm energy to develop in the atmosphere that thunderstorms can tap into. We have a cold front moving through that's acting as that trigger point, and as that cold front continues to sag to the south and east, it's allowed for this line of thunderstorms to really take off. Let's zoom us on out, and I want to get us on over to a different version of radar. Let's turn this off. And I really want to give you a loop here over the last, let's call it 3 hours or so. And what you can see, and let's actually take this 3.5 hours out. What I want you to notice here is right around 3 o'clock, not much was going on, but take a look. We had these storms develop right along the Blue Ridge, and that was really the kicker. And we start to see these severe thunderstorms really get going, these warnings get issued. And where you see these like black polygons, the orange with the black outline, that is a destructive severe thunderstorm warning. The orange with the white, that's a considerable severe thunderstorm warning. What each of those means, right? Standard severe thunderstorm warnings for winds upwards of 60 miles per hour. That considerable threat level with the white outline, that's winds up to 70. The black outline, right, that's a destructive severe thunderstorm, winds up to 80. We don't normally see that. And as we push through time, we see how this line has continued to strengthen, continue to hold on, and continues to really create issues across much of our region. And we do still have, about for the next minute or so, the destructive severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Charles County, but much of the region remains under this considerable threat for severe weather, the severe thunderstorm warning. Let's go ahead and get the latest update here. As of 6/11, the severe thunderstorm warning remains in effect until 6:45 for northwestern St. Mary's, Calvert, southeastern Prince George's, and central Charles County. At 6:10 p.m., severe thunderstorms are located along a line extending from near Breezy Point to near Howling Point to near the Plata and moving east at 35 miles per hour. Primary hazards are 70 mile per hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail. Damaging winds will cause some trees and large branches to fall. This could injure those outdoors as well as damage homes and vehicles. Roadways may become blocked by downed trees. Localized power outages will be possible. Unsecured light objects may become projectiles. Locations impacted include, but are not limited to, Waldorf, the Chesapeake Ranch Estates, the Plata, Chesapeake Beach, Prince Frederick, Greenwell State Park, Howling Point, St. Leonard Creek, Breezy Point, Cuckold Creek, Sheridan Point, Calvert Cliffs, Black Harbor, California, Golden Beach, Lusby, St. Charles, St. Leonard, Huntingtown, and Drum Point. For your protection, you need to be moving into an interior room on the lowest floor of a substantial building. Again, this is not a tornado warning, and we have no current indications that we have any tornadoes on the ground. The winds are just so strong, though, with this line of thunderstorms, that it is producing wind speeds and damage that could be equivalent to that of an EF0 or an EF1 tornado. Instead of seeing the winds rotate, though, like in a tornadic situation, they're really just gusting outwards in a straight line fashion as that cooler air really rushes out from these storms. The worst of this right now is right through the heart of Hughesville, just past through the Plata and getting near Belt, Alton, and Dennisville. We just saw a nasty little clump move through Prince Frederick, Port Republic, and St. Leonard. And we're continuing to see this here push to the south and east. Go ahead. I'm trying to see if we have any new updates here on socials from our followers. If you do have any damage reports, go ahead and send those on in. I would be more than happy to see those, to see what it is we have ongoing across our region as this line pushes through. And our latest report has Pax River at 96 degrees right now with a heat index of 107. So that tells you that there is plenty of atmospheric juice, right, for this thunderstorm line to really tap into. Thankfully, the worst has passed through Indian Head. The worst has passed through Waldorf. Granted, you are still seeing some rain. Chesapeake Beach, the worst has passed through you. You still have some rain. You likely will for the next 15-20 minutes, but the worst is through you. Huntingtown, I still have some nasty weather out there, but believe it or not, the worst is now to your south. But we still have well over 500 strikes of lightning with this line. And that's going to, within itself, create issues and a potential safety hazard, because lightning with this type of an atmosphere has a very strong likelihood of not just being cloud-to-cloud lightning, but cloud-to-ground lightning. And that's where we can really start to see some injuries and power outages take place just from the lightning alone. But we also have those strong wind gusts that's going to be blowing down some large branches and some potential power lines as well. Let's go ahead. Let's get in here into our potential winds. And let this take a second to... Yeah, so I'm no longer seeing any of those bright yellows that we were seeing just a little bit ago. If we put this into motion, you can see what it is we were tracking, and this has to cycle through a couple times to get a complete loop. So if we take this back, we can see where we were looking at like those bright yellows, right? That was indicating to us winds of 80 miles per hour or so through the Waldorf area, just right around 5:45 or so. We saw those strong winds, and now we've seen those. Again, we saw, upwards of 80 miles per hour out towards Hughesville. We've seen those come down a little bit. We now have some of the stronger wind gusts down towards the Densville area, getting near Newport, upwards of 60 to 70 miles per hour, and right through the Port Republic area, Hughesville, Benedict, and Golden Beach. Right now, we're talking winds that are only at 60 to 70 miles per hour. But that's still producing a lot of issues across our region. I want to see if we have any new updates here. From first any of our traffic cameras, any new looks at what is going on. Now let's go ahead, let's take this full. So this would be a look out over towards the Thomas Johnson Bridge. This is going to be Route 4 at the base of Calvert County and St. Mary's County. I believe this is the St. Mary's County side looking towards Calvert County. But you can just see how we have those trees really moving around as we see that outward gust of wind start to push through, darkening of the skies. And we're looking at gusty winds beginning to move on through. Let me go ahead. Let's see if we have any other updates. Take a look here at 4 at 3 Notch Road. We can see some of those trees moving, darkening of the skies back out along the way there. This would be at the Benedict Bridge in parts of Charles and Calvert counties. Heavy rain, the cameras moving all around because of the strong wind gusts, and that is just telling us, the issues that we're seeing as this line continues to push on through, and will continue to push on through here over the next little bit. Let's see if we can't just get an updated threat timeline here with the leading edge of these storms. And that does not want to work. Lovely. No worries though. But the worst of this really does look like it's getting ready to push through parts of Mechanicsville, Charlotte Hall, Golden Beach. We really see where we have the increase here of colors. That brighter red, deeper red has pushed through Hughesville, has pushed through the Plata, but now it's getting through Dennisville, Charlotte Hall, Prince Frederick, even Golden Beach, Barstow, Mechanicsville. And we're going to continue to track that. And I do see a couple of comments again. It's getting dark on over towards Lexington Park. You're seeing darkening skies. And, I mean, I wouldn't put it out that we see this southern part of the line start to create some issues. And what I do want to see, yeah, so it looks like we actually have a tornado warning up towards parts of Delaware with this. So again, that's Delaware. That's not an imminent area for us. And I don't expect that same thing over here. Closer towards the Atlantic beaches, that is where you have greater spin in the atmosphere. But it does tell you that there's a lot of wind, a lot of energy with this line as it pushes to the south and east, and a lot of lightning, a lot of energy with this. So let's go ahead and pop on over towards our high resolution, see if we have any indications of rotation in our local area. Again, I'm not seeing that. Typically, what we would be looking for would be for areas of like that red color touching areas of green, right? That'd be indicative of winds going towards and away from the radar. And we don't really see that. We see kind of uniform reds, oranges, and yellows, right? Those warmer colors. And that tells us that we're really just looking at a straight line wind threat from this. As these storms push through, it really pushes out a lot of rain-cooled air upwards of that 60, 70, 75 mile per hour strength. As these push on through. But this does give you a look at those current areas under that severe thunderstorm warning. This does not include Leonardtown, Lexington Park, St. Inigo, Scotland. But do be aware, I mean, all it takes is just for a little bit more development of this line and you're going to see some of the worst conditions push on through. So let's go ahead, let's kind of reset here. Let me take us on over to a different program. This will allow me to give this program a little reboot for us. Go ahead and take that ticker out. Yeah, so here's what we're taking a look at. We see this line, and if we zoom out by and large, you can see this line really extends from parts of New Jersey through Delaware, through parts of Maryland, and down towards our region. Then we have an additional severe thunderstorm down here just north of Champlain, and this is going to be moving into parts of Westmoreland, Lancaster, Northumberland, Essex counties here over the next hour or so. This is a thunderstorm producing winds of 65 miles per hour or so. So take this seriously as well. We do see this little icon here. This is telling us that we have trees down near Port Royal and Index. I see no damage reports coming in right now. I think that might just be a little lapse though. But we can see all of those damage reports back up towards the DC area earlier, and as we just play this through, we can see how this plane has made that southeastern progression and continues to cause issues for much of our region. Alright, there we go. Let's take you back on over here. My apologies, just getting something put together here. Awesome. I think that's all good to go. But as we take a look here, I do want to get us that time tracking, that timestamp. And this would be a look at that general storm timing there for you. Mechanicsville, literally right now, this is pushing on through. St. Leonard here, less than 5 minutes away. You had those dark skies overhead. You likely hear the thunder off in the distance. Getting towards Lusby here in about the next 15 minutes or so. Leonardtown, potentially, this can hold on. Leonardtown down towards the 6:45 part of the hour. And then maybe down towards Lexington Park and St. Mary City. We'll see. But that would be towards the top of the hour as we approach 7 o'clock. Clearing skies to the north, but to the south where these storms have yet to move through, the atmosphere remains primed for that. Looks like a tornado came through the Forest Park area, trees down everywhere, and I definitely do believe that given the type of setup we have with these storms. And you see the other severe thunderstorm moving through the northern neck here, getting ready to push through the Montrose area. Let me go ahead and take a look, though, again. Oh, and actually, we got a nice little look here. This is inside some of the worst part of the storm. This would be out towards the Benedict area. Again, that's the Benedict Bridge. This is on the Charles County side, I believe, looking towards Calvert County. And this is a live look, right? So the camera's moving around to start with. That shows you the wind, but the visibility is next to nothing. Traffic is slowing down. You can see the spray coming off the cars as they drive through the water. This is a pretty nasty thunderstorm that's moving on through. And this really gives you that live look, and you can kind of see the lightning out there, some of the white caps, the waves being pushed up on shore. That's just indicative of how strong this thunderstorm is that's moving through. And you're going to want, and you see people going through with flashers on. It's probably what I would do as well. It's difficult to drive through this, and my mind immediately goes to driving over that Route 4 bridge that extends from Solomon's on over towards Hollywood, right, Town Creek, the base of the Patuxent River. I don't want to be driving across that in this type of a strong thunderstorm, so keep that in mind. That driving conditions as the storm pushes through, it's going to be difficult. So we take a look at the latest power outage numbers. That power outage number has really skyrocketed here. Let me take you on over. We are now looking at over 20,000 customers without power. And again, this is customers, right? So we could be looking at 4 to 5 people here within considered as a customer, right? Because a customer could be a household. Household could have 4 or 5 people. So you multiply this number, we're potentially getting near 100,000 people without power in Southern Maryland, just in the SMECO coverage area. And that doesn't include the Chesapeake Beach area, right? You're covered by B, G, and E. But some of those highest numbers there over the La Plata area, really from about 301 back towards the west. But this was an update as of 6/16. We'll get another one here soon. And we will continue to likely see these numbers increase and definitely increase further to the east. We have a brand new warning coming in, and this is going to be for southern parts of St. Mary's County. So it looks like you all are indeed in line to see this. Here we go. Brand new severe thunderstorm warning. Again, this is going to be for southern parts of Calvert County, parts of St. Mary's County. This will go until 7:30. We are moving southeast at 28 miles per hour. Let's push this through. Let me get this posted on over towards socials, and this has been tagged with that considerable threat level again. Just really reiterating how strong this is. Awesome. And that would be that. So let's go ahead and kind of reset here a little bit as we now have some people trying to join on in and get you just the latest information here. Forecaster John Bordash continuing to track this line of severe thunderstorms that's pushing on through the region. This comes with a cold front, so relief is in sight, but to get that cold front through, to get that cooler air in, it's coming at the cost of some pretty strong thunderstorms. We do now have a brand new severe thunderstorm warning. This is in for much of St. Mary's County, southern Calvert County, southeastern PG County, and central Charles County until 7:30. At 6:30, a severe thunderstorm was located near Golden Beach or near Howling Point, moving southeast at 30 miles per hour. 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail are definitely going to be possible within this storm. Damaging winds will cause some trees and large branches to fall. This could injure those outdoors as well as damage homes and vehicles. Roadways may become blocked by downed trees. Localized power outages are possible. Unsecured light objects might become projectiles. And I do see a question, could there have been a potential tornado with this? And that answer is no. We have no signs of rotation. These are just really strong straight line winds. Locations impacted include, but are not limited to, Lexington Park, the Chesapeake Ranch Estates, La Plata, Lettertown, Prince Frederick, Piney Point, Tall Timbers, St. Inigo's Creek, St. Mary City, Popes Creek, Greenville State Park, Howling Point, St. Leonard Creek, Town Creek, the Wycomico River, St. Mary's River, White Point Beach, Cuckold Creek, St. George Island, and Sheridan Point. So that is a look at that, and we have a new update with our severe thunderstorm warning that's for the northern parts of this same warning area, and that still goes till 6:45. So I'll get you a general look at what we're talking about. This line should be, again, we were saying this earlier, should be through our region here by about 7:30. Northern areas you're beginning to clear out, right? But southern areas you've yet to see much, and we kind of have a couple things coming together. You have the storm down here towards the south that's moving over the northern neck, and the northern part of that storm might scrape by earlier for points like Valley Lee, Tall Timbers, St. Inigo's, and Scotland. But then you have the main part of this line that's pushing down towards the south, with the worst of it really kind of over the Mechanicsville area here, getting near Chaptico, and that's going to be pushing to the south and east here. So we're going to continue to monitor this as it pushes to the south and east. We should now have a new update with our power outage numbers, and that number has indeed gone up. So I want to go ahead and get this map over to social. So give me 1 second, then we can talk about it. All right, let's post that. Copy tweets. What we're saying at 6:36 p.m. All right, but yeah, so that's what we're looking at. And actually, I didn't think I showed you all the power outage amounts. So let me go ahead and bring that on up here. We are sitting at over 22,000 customers without power. And again, the highest power outage numbers are really focused in Charles County on over towards La Plata. Waldorf, Indian Head, Pittsca, Bryan's Road, right? These areas here shaded in orange represent zip codes that have between 2 and 5,000 customers without power. And keep in mind that when we say customers, right, so that's like a household. Within a household, there could be 4 or 5 people living in there. So 22,000 customers, and you multiply that, you see that number really start to rise. So tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people without power. Again, mainly in Charles County as these storms push through. That's where we saw the strongest bit with our storms. And you can see, and just take a look at this dichotomy here, where we have seen that like initial colder gust from these thunderstorms push through. It's 79 in Leonardtown. Where it has yet to reach St. Mary City, it's 92 degrees. That really shows you the power that these thunderstorms are coming with as they slowly sag here to the south and east. And zooming out, you can just see all of these severe thunderstorm warnings out towards South Jersey, parts of the lower eastern shore. We even have that tornado warning here north of Georgetown for parts of Delaware. Down here towards parts of, again, the lower Maryland eastern shore, Ocean City under severe thunderstorm warnings, the northern neck, and then also us as this pushes on through. And I see a couple comments from winds picking up in Leonardtown, starting to hear some thunder in Solomons. And Anita, keep in mind, Solomons is without a comma. It's just, without the comma, M-O-N-S, right? But yeah, keep this in mind. This is a pretty strong line of thunderstorms that continues to push to the south and east. North of the line, you're fine. South and east of the line, we're still looking at some pretty nasty impacts. And yeah, Anita, you're fine. That happens to me sometimes. I'm like, oh, that's annoying. But yeah. I'm not too sure what else I can say, though, without really repeating myself. We're kind of getting to that point now where we've been going at this for, approaching an hour. I'm going to see if on our live cameras we can get any hint of these storms, and they're kind of in this spot right now where we don't have any cameras out. But keep this in mind as this continues to push to the south and east. This will take about the next 45 minutes or so to clear the southern tip of St. Mary's County. Northern Calvert County, northern parts of Charles County. You all are in the clear, right? You probably still hear thunder off in the distance, and the skies might still be dark, but the worst of the weather's to your south. Prince Frederick, the worst is to your south. The worst of it right now, it really is Mechanicsville to Golden Beach, Charlotte Hall, on over towards St. Leonard and Port Republic. And this is moving down here to the south and east. And then we have another stronger storm just to the south of Montrose. But I do want to see... Yeah. So yeah, this is what we're going to continue to watch here. And again, it will take about the next 45 minutes or so to really work through. If we give you an updated threat timeline with the strongest part of this line, we were pushing it to the south and east. This really gives you a good idea. Hollywood here in about the next 5 minutes or so. This will begin to push on through Solomons about the next 5 minutes or so. Leonardtown is the next 10 minutes. Lexington Park about the same. Getting down towards St. Mary's City as we approach the 7 o'clock hour. Same deal down towards Dameron, Piney Point Ridge, and Scotland. But again, we're getting to a point where there's not much, there isn't much else information I can give you. You can continue to access JB Weather Radar in Interactive Futurecast on my website, jbweather.net/radar. I'll continue to have updates for you on Twitter, on Facebook, but key warnings, right? Give this about an hour or so to move on through. Stay inside once this moves through. You might actually, for northern areas, get a pretty nice sunset as the clouds start to move on out. But I'm Forecaster John Bordash. Thank you for staying with me for about the last hour or so as we've tracked this. Dangerous situation remains for southern parts of our region. Stay weather aware and continue to access JB Weather on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and of course the website jbweather.net for the latest. But in the meantime, I'm Forecaster John Bordash. For getting any new updates, I'll be back here with you live. Stay safe and stay weather aware as we head through the remainder of the evening.
Check the forecast anytime online at jbweather.net.